Then we'll continue through the use cases. I'll share with you a couple of use cases where you can benefit the 7050, how it can help you. And then we'll look into the other chassis-based solutions that is available in the market today, and what are the benefits and the superiorities of our solution when you compare the chassis-based, other firewalls in the market that claims that they are able to also provide you some sort of next-generation security functionalities. During the presentation, we will not be able to have a Q&A during the session, but after the presentation is over, we'll have around like 10-15 minutes of time, I suppose, to review the questions. Meanwhile, in your screen, you should see a section for questions. Please write your questions whenever you have during the presentation. If anything is not clear, we'll review all the questions that you have when we finish the presentation, and we'll try to answer as many of them as possible. So with this, let's get started. As you know, the the new security pressures in our infrastructure and in the companies today is actually a reflection of our use cases. We are not anymore having a data center where we have all the the assets internalized. We have now cloud-based solutions. We have now private cloud-based solutions. It's not anymore physical servers. And when you look into the threats that can happen for all these different use cases, definitely, the threats can come from the cloud, from the public cloud that you might be subscribed to. Threats can happen within your private clouds that you are hosting in your data centers. Also, in your own core infrastructure, where your employees are, connected to via multitude of different types of devices, because it's not anymore the desktop PCs that are connecting to your network. It is now definitely the laptops, but as well as many other gadgets that we have, like the iPads, Androids, and all kinds of different types of devices that are connecting. So definitely this is introducing new security pressures. First of all, the traffic is definitely multiplied, as we have tons of devices connecting to our network, and definitely the threat vectors are multiplied because of these different endpoint types, different server types, different applications that we are accessing in the cloud, on-prem solutions. So it is not anymore a simple threat that we are against. And on top of that, definitely the virtualization and the cloud is also bringing other challenges. So it's important to understand basically from the traditional on the leftmost side, typical topologies of the yesterday, to understand where you are now. Actually, now we will be, if not now, we will soon be having infrastructures all working as application as a service, infrastructure as a service, you name it. So the firewall should be also part of this umbrella. So the firewall should understand all these changes. It should be ready to adapt the software-defined networking capabilities, and it should be able to provide you all sorts of security automated without you having to go through manual changes on your policies and infrastructure. Definitely the next generation data center, when we talk about all these different things that are happening, we need to first of all make sure that we are enabling the right applications for the right users. We are protecting our infrastructure and applications for all the known and unknown threats, and we are able to quickly, scalably apply our deployments where we can increase the performance gradually if there is an additional new application, multimedia application, any sort of new application coming in our data center. We are ready also, as our firewall is capable of linearly growing the performance when it is required. And another thing that we'll see is the traditional security is really outdated. Till now, most of our customers, I know that they have been using some sort of switch bay, some sort of firewall blades on their switches, or maybe some just ACLs on their core switches. This is not a security anymore. Most of the time when you go and talk with a customer, if they're saying that, yeah, I'm applying core security, I have this switch, that switch in my core, and I have like 10,000 lines of ACLs. Come on, how can we say that with 10,000 of ACL, we are sure that all the rules are really required and really they are serving a purpose. And on top of that, definitely the port-based, approach is definitely totally outdated. Today, just think about a simple SharePoint application. It uses multitude of ports. And are you really sure that when you open those ports to that server, only SharePoint application is accessed? No. There will be other applications that the users can access through these ports. So you need to move away from the layer 4 old security, which is actually more than 20 years old, now to the layer 7 security. The next generation security should be our de facto protection in our security infrastructure today. And how we need to do this basically today, I'm sure that there are very few of our customers who has really went through this process, right? Most of the time, you don't know really what are the applications use in your infrastructures. And with our solutions, with Palo Alto Networks solutions, we can help you to do that in a methodological way. So what you can do, you can put our solution, you can put it like in kind of a learning mode, and it will show you all the applications that is passing through your network. This is a very enormous visibility. It is as good as opening turning the lights on in a dark room. You don't know what kinds of applications that you are hosting in your data center, and you don't know which users are accessing which applications. And with the Palo Alto's approach, you can have all these, first enable the firewall in just monitor mode, see what's passing through, and then gradually apply your policies. And the good side of it is, if you had a previous, technology from any vendor out there, it can be, anything like Cisco, Juniper, whatever. We can migrate their rules one-to-one into as a layer 4 policy in our firewall, and then you can apply this methodological way so that you can turn these, rules into a more secure layer 7 rule as you wanted to. And definitely another threat vector that we are seeing is the advanced persistent threats. I think this is maybe the most important area that we all need to focus today. Cybersecurity is real. It is happening. It has happened many times in Middle East, and it will definitely continue to happen. And as you can see, there are many actors in the cybersecurity, in the advanced persistent threats. It can be your internal employees who are disgruntled. It can be hackers. It can be activists, it can be organized crime, and it can be even states that are after your data. And the industries, as you see, is actually all industries are prone. So no industry in the Middle East today can say that, you know what, this is definitely not going to happen in my company. No, we can't say that. And what they are doing is they are using a very sophisticated way of first of all reconnaissance to understand your infrastructure. They can use even the social media for this very easily. They can profile the system administrators of company X very easily through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and you name it. And then they will come up with some certain tools. It can be drive-by downloads, it can be phishing mails, it can be any sort of different tactics, and they will try to use these weapons against you, infiltrating in your infrastructure. And once they infiltrate in your infrastructure, since you will be mainly using, and that's their dream actually, a port-based firewall and therefore ACL-based security in your core and hopefully in your data center, so that they can basically spread across laterally very easily. This is what happened in many of the big, well-known incidents in the Middle East. Some of which were public, so we can name their name, like Aramco's of the world, right? So this is what has happened. We should have a full understanding of what is happening in our core network. And this shouldn't happen. This shouldn't be only done in a reactive way, like a SIEM. Like you might say that, okay, Ozgur, I have a SIEM technology. It is gathering logs from all my servers, this, that. This is a reactive technology. You don't apply any prevention. You need to have a prevention. You need to have a security in place that will whitelist all the applications to be used. And we'll go through the scenarios soon so that you'll understand how we are approaching this complex issue. And definitely the performance, right? So when you talk about data center, when you talk about core, today, any typical core switch, think about it. What's the backplane speed? It is minimum 2 terabytes, right? So none of the customers today are willing to have a firewall that will bring down their core infrastructure to 5 MBs, to 5 gigs, 10 gigs, right? This is not anymore acceptable. They don't want to sacrifice on security, but as well as they don't want to sacrifice on performance as well. Maybe the internet gateway speeds of 10 gigs are not applicable in our region, but still, the universities I know of are now above 1 gig. Most of the universities and the education sectors in the Middle East today, in UAE, in Qatar, typically they are above 1 gig in Saudi in terms of internet speed. So they definitely need a chassis-based solution that can scale very soon about 10 gigs of full threat prevention capabilities. Data center, almost all enterprises today, they will tell you that, you know what, I don't want a 5 gig firewall. I don't want a 10 gig firewall anymore. I want something. Maybe my traffic is not there yet. Maybe my traffic is only 2 gig now, but I don't know. I mean, next year it might be 10 gig. So if I invest on a chassis in an appliance today, which can't provide me that functionality, I don't want to basically just drop all the investment that I have done last year and then reinvest on another two appliance, which I'm not sure the duration I can use in my network. No, it should be a solution that can scale for the future. And definitely the core. This is the most demanding area. If you want to apply a network segmentation in your core, which means for traffic coming from all your wide area network, traffic coming from all your users, user to user traffic, user to data center traffic, this is the place where you need even much higher bandwidths and throughput levels. 40 gigs, easy. So the solution is definitely the chassis-based, the fastest next-generation firewall in the world, the 7050. So this is, as you can see, it is. I'll also give you shortly the detailed hardware specifications of this solution. This is a chassis-based system where you have blades, so that you can start with a single network processing card, which is you can say in terms of the performance, like a single 5060 appliance from Palo Alto Networks. It has the same speed, and you can put 6 of them into a single chassis. And the good thing about this is it is not like you manage these blades separately. So all the chassis will be shown to you as a single appliance. So, typically you would consider that chassis-based systems are difficult to manage. On the contrary, the 7050 solution from Palo Alto Networks is as simple as managing a standalone appliance. And the same feature function set, the same functionalities is there on the 7050. So the learning curve for your employees is really minimal. And into the hardware specifications. This is in terms of size, 9U chassis, which has 8 slots. When you buy the chassis, it comes 2 slots already populated. One slot is for management, and the other slot is for log processing. So this is by default. When you buy a chassis, it is there. And then you can add 6 network processing cards. And each of these cards, as you can see here, is really very powerful. So we have 64 cores in the data processing CPU. and all the cards, the interfaces, as you can see, we can have like uh, per card, per NPC, 4 10 gig interfaces, 8 SFPs, and 12 copper ports. And all these interfaces, regardless of which NPC you are using, you can still use it, centrally, manage it centrally. The traffic flows again happens as if it's a single appliance. It's not like you need to have you need to have different types of management. You need to manage your firewall rules separately. No, it is again the simple, very easy to manage zone-based next generation firewall from Palo Alto Networks. You don't care which interface is really used, and then you can apply your policies as if it is a single appliance. That's the very good benefit of this. And another thing is the backplane of this chassis is like 1.2 terabytes. So today on this system we can provide you the 120 gigs of throughput very easily, but in the future maybe we'll come up with new network processing cards. So without you changing the chassis, you can just change the card inside, and then you can basically maybe double and triple your throughput on the same chassis very easily. Now, going into the details of this, the solution has the log processing card built in to the appliance. It's a separate card, and the good thing about this is literally you don't need any management appliance, or you don't need any logging system for this huge chassis. It is a self-contained, self-manageable, and self-logging system. Actually, you don't need a separate solution for that. The management is totally separate. I'll show you the infrastructure and the hardware topology very shortly, the logical the design of the solution. And the management is totally separate in a separate card. Logging is separate, so that the logging that can happen, high levels of logging that can happen from all these 6 NPCs at the same time, will never ever slow down your management. There is a specific card that is just built for logging purposes, and you can basically manage this from your panorama if you have like a log collector, because it's like a if you know the Palo Alto's terminology, you can manage it like a log collector from the panorama very easily. And then going into the architecture, this is the typical NPC card architecture. So what this means, we have a specific hardware infrastructure which is dedicated for network processing. With the FPGA cards, it does all the quality of service, netting, root lookups, MAC lookups, and all these flow lookups on the network level. And then security processing, here we have 64 cores, which does the layer 7 application identification and applying the policies based on the rule set in layer 7 in the policy, as you are accustomed to in other Palo Alto products. And then we have the single signature matching engines, which has the FPGA cards, which does single pass parallel processing for all the viruses, vulnerabilities, spywares, worms, you name it, in one scan. So think of this in this chassis, you can scale linearly from 1 to 6. You can add 5 more onto the same chassis. You can start with 1, and then you can add 5 more on top of that. And the backplane is, as I said, 1 terabits of high-speed switch fabric. So in the future, if there is new cards, you can easily replace these, and you can start using those cards without an issue. The management, blade is the one that does the load sharing between these cards. So the management card, the first packet processor, will determine which one of the NPCs will be the one who is going to handle that specific flow. And then the configuration, and then the all the relevant changes that you do on the policy will be applied again by the management card on the same blade. Then we have a separate blade for just log processing, which is mainly there to do the logging, storage, and it will provide you 2 terabytes of this space for this huge platform, huge processing power that we have on the chassis platform. And as a summary, just to give you the rough idea about where we can scale with this infrastructure, as you know, from day one, we as Palo Alto never announced any layer 4 number because we don't believe in the layer 4 security. We always announce our numbers based on layer 7. So you can, one NPC card will be able to provide you 20 gigs of layer 7 traffic. And then DSRI is a technology that you will mainly use for your secure data centers. So if you trust your servers, if you know that from the servers to the internal network there won't be any hacking activity, you can just disable the response inspection on the IPS. So a typical card will provide you almost 16 gig of threat prevention, IPS, AV, and anti-spyware protection. If you want two-way of inspection, by default it is two-way, by the way, you need to disable it if you want to just make sure that it is only DSRI, disable server response option. So if you want to look into both ways of the traffic, it will give you 10 gigs of full threat prevention. So the important thing here is, as we have shared in our previous webinars, this is a full application of the thousands of IPS signatures, millions of antivirus signatures, and spyware behavior and protection. So it is not like 200 of the IPS signatures and best case performance numbers we share with our customers. No, these are real life numbers that you will get from the chassis solution. And new session per second will be 122,000 per line card, and basically all these things are there to grow linearly. So you can easily go all the way to you can just multiply these by 6 and you'll see the end result on the whole loaded system. You can scale up to 120 gigs of throughput in terms of firewalling layer 7. You can scale up to 100 gigs of threat prevention. As I said, threat prevention for us is not just IPS, but IPS, antivirus, and anti-spyware all enabled at the same time. And if you want to do full IPS for both ways of traffic, it is 60 gigs. In terms of the maximum sessions, we have 24 millions of sessions, so it is really a huge number, as we have shared in this summary slide. Now the good thing about this is you can start with a chassis and you can just put one NPC card, and then you will have the necessary foundation to grow in the future. The good thing about this, you don't need to tear down your network, you don't need to change your you do a forklift upgrade when your performance requirements increase. You can just utilize the same system and then basically invest on new requirements when time comes. And the NPC cards you can insert when the system is functioning. And what happens when you insert the card? It will boot itself, and when it is ready, the first packet processor will start sharing the load with that card immediately. So these are all, very nice features, and I'll share with you the comparison between our solution and the other existing solutions in the market today in terms of these management flexibilities that we provide and bring into the industry. So the unique approach that we provide is, first of all, we are a firewall. We can provide you the whitelisting approach. So you will only allow the applications that are required in your core and in your data center. And definitely if you are a university or if you have a high perimeter traffic, you can do this on your internet as well with this chassis-based solution now. You will identify and control all the applications, prevent the known threats, and for all the unknown threats, you are going to have our WildFire capabilities to look into the behaviors of the traffic, and you can apply the security for the unknown zero-day threats as well. Now let's look into the use cases. So in terms of use cases, we can think about the data center, we can think about the segmentation in the core, and definitely as a gateway, the multiple use cases, and I'll be sharing with you very simple ones in this simplified diagram. So definitely, you know, for your users, we can have control the user to application access with integration to your Active Directory, integration to your any LDAP server, and even now with the new 6.0 release, we can integrate with any user repository that can send the user authentication logs via syslog to us. So the benefit of this is we can now integrate with your existing NAC controllers, wireless LAN controllers. So we can understand the user, the IP, and the device type from these active devices and apply the policies on your firewalls. This is a huge step in getting rid of the IP-based static, policies towards a dynamic, very much proactive method of defining the policies. And you are not anymore also confined to use just apply this policy only to the systems, PCs that are connected to your domain controller. You can do this now on all the systems that are there in your network with this active device integration capability. And then definitely controlling the attack surface. In your data center, in your core, maybe there might be thousands and thousands of applications that are already used, but really, which one of these applications do you require as a company? You can now whitelist them because we can understand all the applications. We are at the core a layer 7 firewall, so we can understand the really required applications that needs to traverse within your core, within your data center. So you'll just allow Oracle, you'll just allow SAP if this is the only two applications that needs to be used. Then you will scan all the traffic. So you'll protect your Oracle servers against the vulnerabilities because it's not be easy to patch these servers immediately. So we'll be in some ways providing you kind of a virtual patching functionality with our IPS technology, and at the same time we'll make sure that anything that traverses into your through your network will be scanned for viruses, worms, and other stuff. So this has a big issue. This will bring you a big assurance when you think about the advanced persistent threats, right? So now you will make sure that if any of your system is compromised, with this segmentation that you will do with this full visibility that you have in your core, you can easily pinpoint and block those and quarantine even those communications easily. So segmentation, right? This is very important. So you need to make sure you might be, obliged to follow some of the compliance standards like the PCI. So you can say now that only finance users are able to reach to the cardholder servers. So you can do this segmentation very easily. Or if it is like administrative based segmentation that you want to apply, you can make sure that IT administrators can access to basically the servers with these administrative privileges, and all the other users can only access through the applications. And definitely it is very important now, as the leaders of your enterprises in security, I strongly recommend you to read this if you did not read before. Read the Forrester research zero trust model. This is crucial. This is really important. This shows you a model that you can apply very practically in your infrastructures without having any assumptions, any trust in any of the systems. So you should not trust anything. With this zero trust model, you should basically have it states the success factors to achieve this. You need to have a next generation security technology to whitelist all the applications to make sure that you are mitigating the risks that is inherent, that might be inherent in those applications. And the threat prevention. So with this platform, we are there to protect you from all the viruses, IPSs, and the modern malware. And I'll share with you the malware prevention in this slide actually. So what we do, first of all, we apply the control, so we reduce the risk surface, right? Non-standard ports, port hopping applications. If there is any SSL encrypted traffic or SSH encrypted traffic, we can even decrypt these and we can look what's really passing inside. And we will provide protections for the known threats. So all these exploits, malware, bad websites, bad domains, command and control traffic, and everything will be prevented. Then we have the sandboxing technology. This sandboxing, we don't do this on the chassis or on our firewall solutions, but we do these on the on the cloud or as a separate appliance with our WildFire 500 appliance on premises. If you don't want to send any of the suspicious files to the cloud, you know, even you don't want to send any of your internal documents to outside as a policy. You can easily do this now with our WildFire 500 appliance. And the good thing of this is, in the sandboxing solution, we will look to only the behaviors. There is no signature. Only thing that firewall does, it is not investing its resources to do sandboxing or anything. It does a static analysis. Okay, firewall will send only the suspicious files to this sandboxing technology, be it on the cloud or on-prem. So it will send, for example, the Word documents with some macros, right? If it is a Word document without any suspicious things, it doesn't need to send it. If it is scanned for all the viruses and antivirus and all the other known threat preventions, it can just send it back to the user. For PDFs, if it doesn't have any JavaScripts or anything embedded, it doesn't need to. So this is an integrated technology with the firewall itself. So this is the only way really you can reduce the risk and then apply the protections for the known and unknown threats. And if you want to go one step further and validate the attacks, then we can integrate with our technology partners like the Splunk, like the any SIM technology, or if you have a Bit9, for example, that you are using as a next generation endpoint security, as a whitelisting technology on your desktop. So we can integrate with those. And if you want to do remediation, then definitely we are there to also provide forensic information and malware intelligence with other vendors, and also you can use firewall itself to do this post-mortem analysis if you want to, with the built-in packet capture functionalities that we have for the both the malware as well as even the vulnerabilities and IPS threats, the threats mitigated by IPS. So another use case is definitely the in the data centers to protect you against the northwest, north-south, and east-west traffic. So with these PA-7000 series, we can do this on the edge of your data center, as well as with the VM series that we have, we can do this in your virtualized containers. And the good thing of this is these are all very much highly integrated with the today VMware and Citrix technologies. So what this means, we can understand the dynamic, we can create dynamic address groups with the version 6, and we can do VM monitoring so that we will understand all the changes that has happened in the VMware infrastructure with the VM center integration, for example. So what this means practically to you, you might have these assets in your vCenter, and then in your Palo Alto, you will just define the dynamic address groups based on the attributes. So you will define the SharePoint servers, the SQL servers, and the IP addresses will be populated dynamically with this integration that we provide to you. And in your policy, you will specify, you'll use these dynamic objects and you will specify the actions, what is allowed and what is not allowed. And if there is a change that has happened in your the virtualized environment, if there is a new asset, it will immediately be updated in the dynamic address group, and you did not change any policy in your firewall. Now the change is automatically applied even for the newcomer, right? So this is the benefit that we have. Now let's look into the final part, which is the comparison of us and the others that you might have heard, you might have seen in the market today. First of all, I must say this, this study has been done by looking at their public, announcements, by looking at their data sheets, and comparing what they say and how much they perform into the security space. So all these vendors typically are next generation. Are not a next generation provider, but they are layer 4 firewall vendor, right? So their base technology is a stateful inspection technology. So they will maybe market like 200 gigs of firewall, 400 gigs of firewall. But this is something that you already have in your core switch. Why do you want to invest on another box which will only do the same thing that your core switch can already do, right? The stateful inspection firewalling, you can have it on your core switch. They also provide the ACL functionalities. That's what they can do. The real security is layer 7. And when they go into the layer 7 security, their numbers change dramatically. That's what we share in this slide. So you can see that all the other vendors, they will come to very, very low levels in the next generation firewall rates, 13%, 15%, 18% of their advertised chassis throughput. So this is actually a bit sad because we believe that today's security, the de facto standard should be next generation firewall. It should not be anymore a stateful inspection firewall or a port-based firewall. And in terms of the next generation firewall security performance to their relative max, this is what we have explained in the previous slide, and this is also another way of showing this graphically. We can achieve with whole threat prevention 83% of the announced 120 gig. So we can come close to 83, 87 gigs of threat prevention functionality. So this is huge. In terms of percentages, no one can come close. And in terms of the marketed the datasheet values, they are nowhere close to 83 gigs of full threat prevention. And in terms of the capabilities, when you look into the easy management of a chassis-based solution, because everyone will think that chassis-based solutions will be very difficult to manage, will be very difficult to maintain and look after. But on the contrary, 7050 is managed just like a single appliance. So it doesn't even have definitely it has additional CLI commands maybe, but in terms of the management functionalities, the interface, it is just as the same as a typical appliance. It is nothing different. So good things, we have automatic card recognition. When you insert a new NPC card, it will automatically boot, it will get the policy, and the first packet processor will immediately start sharing the load with the new card. And it is managed as a single unified system. So you don't manage these blades separately one by one if you want to come close to the marketed highest throughput. Whereas in some vendors, they manage these blades separately. So it is not any better than having separate appliances in your rack, rather than putting them in a chassis and putting a brand on top of that. So I don't think that a chassis should be managed in that manner. And then definitely we have an intelligent processing, resource utilization, so we have multitude of ways to distribute the load between different these NPCs. And the good thing is, even if the interfaces are on separate NPC cards, they can still be used as if they were connected to a single appliance. And then we have a dedicated management and logging subsystem. This is very important because you don't need a separate appliance to manage this blade infrastructure. Even it is self-sufficient. You don't need to buy our Panorama for that matters. And the single subscription and support is also very important, because if you are thinking about your OPEX and the cost requirements in the future, all the subscriptions are based on the chassis. So we don't care how many NPC cards you have. You don't need to worry about that. You get the support for the chassis. You get the threat prevention subscription for the chassis. You get the WildFire subscription. You get the URL filtering subscription, all for the chassis. And then as many cards as you add, your OPEX level will go down dramatically. And this is the last slide that I want to share, and then we'll go continue with the questions. As a summary, it is a simple, flexible chassis architecture. It is really simple. It is not any different than managing a, single, appliance. It is scalable. You don't need to make the whole investment for a very big, appliance or a chassis in day one. You can just gradually grow your investment as your requirements increase in the future. You can just start with a single NPC card. It is really flexible in terms of dynamic load distribution, even uh, across different modules. It is simple management, as I said. Full features are supported. That is very important. So we don't have a reduced set of features on the chassis. We support the full feature set that we support on all other platforms. I think that's one of the most strong points that you see in Palo Alto. There is no hidden agenda in any of our technologies. It is the same user interface. It is the same feature set, even if it is our smallest PA-200 box or even if it is our biggest 7000 series. So with this, I conclude my presentation. Hope it was informative for you, and I'll look forward to your questions. Okay, so there's a question saying that we are currently using Juniper SSG series. It is end of life, and we are planning to upgrade the firewall. We are evaluating Palo Alto firewalls. In terms of SSL, in terms of VPN, site-to-site VPN on Palo Alto, I can tell you that when you buy any Palo Alto firewall, all these functionalities come for free. Okay, the default firewall will provide you site-to-site VPN, SSL VPN, and remote access IPsec VPN for free till the number of users that box you're typically buying. So basically, there is no user-based license at all, ever, even. So we support all these functionalities. You can have a site-to-site VPN. You can have an IPsec VPN with any other vendor as well, because I expect you may not be able to do all the branch firewall upgrades in one instance. So slowly you can use Juniper SSG in another site, but head office Palo Alto without an issue, and then slowly you can basically upgrade all of them to Palo Alto without a problem. Only license that is required in terms of SSL VPN is if you want to do host integrity checking. If you don't want to do host integrity checking, you don't need a license requirement for our SSL VPN technology. Or also there is one more thing. We have announced our new MDM solution. So if you want to do asset management, if you want to do compliance checking, then there are licenses for the iPads and Androids that you may want to control more granularly. But if you just want to use the default VPN client on an iOS or an Android, you can use it without a license. So, second question is how to position Palo Alto in a data center. Basically, in terms of data centers, we can be integrated very easily with multiple topologies. Typically, the best way is to design the data center with security in the mind, but most of the time it's very difficult to find a greenfield data center requirement in a customer. Most of the time there is already an architecture, so you need to be able to insert your security into that existing architecture, and we are very flexible. So basically we support layer 2, layer 3 firewalling. Very, these are the standards that you will see in most of the firewalls today. But the important thing here is, we can be inserted to your data center. Basically, we can be connected to your data center or core switches on a stick model. So you don't need to pass all the traffic through the firewall itself, but you can just basically send certain VLAN traffics through the firewall with integration to your switch. Or you can integrate us in your infrastructure even in layer 1. So we can act like a cable. like a transparent inline mode, like an IPS, if you would consider that way. So we can you don't need to change on any IPs, you don't need to do any VLAN configurations, nothing. Just insert us wherever there's a consolidation point from your users to your data center. We can be inserted there, and we can basically start doing the firewalling. Any other questions? Okay, there's a question for the scalability in terms of the in terms of the line cards, how we can scale between when from the network processing cards. We have the first packet processor that does the load sharing, so it can share the load between these different NPCs based on the load of the NPC. It can do round robin. It can do you know uh, many different methods of load sharing algorithms. And when you insert a new network processing card, then basically the traffic will be shared with the new card immediately when it boots and loads the configuration. And in terms of high availability, the network processing cards basically in the same chassis does not provide high availability to each other. So please don't consider it that way. So basically you have like two NPCs and you use one active, the other one standby. No, you will use both of them active at the same time. Okay. So if you want to have a high available solution, basically you need to have another chassis, so that two chassis to make sure that you have full redundancy. But typically speaking, um, all these chassis come with uh, many fan trays. It comes with all sorts of power supplies, so they are all very very redundant. But still, if it is a very critical segment, I strongly recommend you to have uh, two chassis, so that you will have the peace of mind even if something happens to the chassis itself. Yeah, so basically that's the point. In terms of the redundancy, currently we don't support two management cards or two log cards on the same chassis. In the future we might, but today the redundancy is only provided with multiple chassis. So how to right size the solution? Definitely, with my team, we'll be there to support you with our partners. So please feel free to reach to us, and we'll be there to size the solution to you. I mean, we don't want you to get a fully loaded chassis, even if it will be good for us. But you don't need to do full investment in one shot. It is important that you have a solution that can scale for now, and you can improve, add new NPC cards in the future very easily, without considering any other additional license implications, because it will be just a hardware cost for you. All the other software subscriptions that you have done for threat prevention, for URL filtering, will be all immediately applicable to the new NPC card that you will be investing in. Okay, so So there is one question. In case one chassis fails, other will get restart prior to takeover. Basically, this you will hardly see any one or two drops in the packets. The other chassis will be uh, active with all the session synchronizations, with everything, and it will immediately take over the whole communication without any problem. So it is like a typical active standby or active appliance-based firewall, high availability. Okay, great. Um, I think we can conclude today. We'll be sharing with you the recorded session and the presentations as well, presentation details. Thanks a lot for joining the call. Hope it was informative. And if you want to see and hear more about the solution, please feel free to reach us. Thank you. Have a great day.